Hi everyone. I'm going to talk today about maintenance, in particular a week in the life of a maintainer, as in me, because I can only talk from my own perspective. I think some of the things I'm going to say in this video might surprise people or even shock people a little bit, but I felt it was really, really important to be real, to not pretend that I stay at exactly the same weight all the time, and not to pretend that I don't struggle sometimes and slip back into old ways of eating sometimes. And I really want to make sure that whenever I talk about weight loss and maintenance, that it's authentic. And well, because that's all I can do. I can only talk about how it is for me. Others may feel very differently. But I hope that my telling it how it is for me as an experience will help some people. So this last week has been a slightly unusual week for me, because the first part of the week I was in Bruges for 4 days with one of my best friends. And I could have gone into the weekend away thinking I want to maintain and put in place a strategy and a plan so that I did maintain. And I can do it. I've done it for 5 years now, and I know exactly what I need to do to maintain. For me, it means sticking to about 1,400 calories a day, because I'm only 5'2", sadly, and I'm in my 50s now, and I'm slender, so that means I burn off less energy because I'm not as big as I used to be, and I'm not particularly active. So for all those reasons, I can only have about 1,400 calories a day, which, trust me, does not feel like much when I used to eat what I ate in the past, which is what made me put on 7.5 stone, of course. So anyway, I've got my head around it, and I know that that's what I have to do. And the way I maintain is by being very strict Monday to Friday, to allow me a little bit of extra calories at the weekend, because the 1,400 calories a day at the weekend I've found very difficult to stick to. But I've figured out over the last 5 years a system that works for me. So when I went to Bruges, I had to decide whether I wanted to stick to my 1,400 calories or less, or whether I wanted to eat more. And if I ate more, then the repercussions of that will be that I put on weight. Now, rightly or wrongly, food for me is a pleasure. Now, I'm sure that there are people out there who are going to listen to this and think, well, she's clearly not dealt with her emotional eating, and the fact that I don't just view food as fuel possibly means that there is stuff that I've still got to address around my eating patterns and habits and relationship with food. But whatever, the fact is that I do enjoy a good slap-up meal. I do enjoy some gluten-free, because I can't have gluten, some gluten-free baking whenever I come across it. And food is relaxing to me and is something that I associate with socialising, and I just didn't want to partake of all of those pleasures of food when I was in Bruges. I wanted to join in with my friend, and I wanted to choose some nice meals out. I wanted to sample Belgian cuisine, and I wanted to treat myself. Again, rightly or wrongly, I wanted to be able to have, if we came across a gluten-free cafe, I wanted to be able to have some gluten-free cake. Excuse me. So I chose to eat more than my 1,400 calories, and that meant that I put on weight. In fact, I put on 5 pounds in 4 days. So now I'm sure there are some people who think that, goodness, 5 pounds in 4 days, that woman is totally out of control and isn't maintaining at all. I disagree completely. I went into it knowing that I would put on weight, and I went into it knowing that therefore there would be repercussions to that this week. So I made absolutely certain that on Monday morning I jumped on the scales. I really didn't want to. It took enormous power of mind, courage to get on those scales, because I knew that I would have put stuff on, because I was eating probably about I tried to track everything that I could on MyFitnessPal, so that I was being accountable for exactly what I was eating and wasn't going into denial about it. And I was probably knocking away about 3,000 calories a day, so I wasn't at all surprised when I saw the £5 gain. And then that meant that the repercussions of that were a gain, and therefore I've got to get it off again. And that is what, unless you are going to choose to stick to never going over your limit and never treating yourself with food, which I'm sure, in fact I know that some people can do that. I don't want to live a life like that. I just don't. I like the fact that I can treat myself with food from time to time, not all the time, and that is the difference. When I put on my 7.5 stone, I absolutely used to eat without accountability and with denial, and there was no conscious choice and no conscious awareness. It was very much I want to eat this, and therefore I'm going to, and I want to eat whatever I want whenever I want it. And although I kind of slipped back into that at the weekend when I was away, it wasn't unconscious, the eating. It was a very conscious choice that I made, and that's how I know that I wasn't out of control, and that's how I know that it is still a form of maintenance. Monday, boy, I did not want to be strict again. Of course I didn't. All of the chemical reactions to eating more sugar than I normally do kicked in, and every bone in my body didn't want to. I wanted to, I had that usual discussion of, I'll just take it easier today and then start being much stricter tomorrow. And this week I was thinking, I've got lunch out with a friend, I've got dinner with mum and dad on Saturday, it's the bank holiday weekend, I'll leave it until next Tuesday. But I didn't. I made absolutely sure to have a more balanced and level approach to the whole thing. It's very easy to slip back into feast or famine mode when you have been used to dieting all your life or trying to diet all your life. And I was very conscious of the fact that I didn't want to be an all or nothing type of gal again, which is what I used to do. I wanted to make sure that I was sensible and made whatever choices I could make this week. So I went back onto step 3, Cambridge Weight Plan step 3 this week. I've been sticking to about 1,000 calories a day, tracking it all still on MyFitnessPal. I'm now 3 pounds down. Yes, we've got dinner out with mum and dad tomorrow, which means I might go up again slightly on Sunday morning. And we might have a barbecue this weekend, and I might have a glass of wine in the sunshine after gardening all day. But you know what? That is at least I'm doing something now, rather than continuing the eating and continuing the denial and continuing, not that I was in denial, but if I hadn't dealt with it now, I would have continued that denial of having to face it and get it off. So if this shocks some people and you think, well, she's put on 5 pounds and she's not really maintaining, and that this is some form of failure in maintenance, well, I don't have an exact weight that I stick to. I have a band of weight that I stick to, which is somewhere between sort of 22 and 23 BMI, and I'm boying up and down within that, depending on what I'm doing socially. And these are just choices that I make, and I choose to put that weight on, and then I equally have to choose to be accountable for getting rid of it, which is what I'm now doing. So I hope that sort of week in the life of a maintainer, who might sound like I'm not maintaining because 5 pounds on, but actually I think I am pretty well. 5 years now. Hope that helps.